Thank you, Agent. I can find this, and so I'm going to speed through this presentation on travel time and speed data. So Ed's talked about data that tells us where people are coming from and going to. I'm going to talk about how fast or slow, or data that tells us how fast or slow some of these trips take. And so not long ago, this is how we used to collect travel time data. We used to send people out into the traffic. And actually, I remember quite well, one of the first lab studies we did in a graduate class was right out here on Welborn Road, using a clipboard and a stopwatch, and we did travel time runs. In the late 1990s, this thing called GPS and consumer-based GPS came along. We were able to automate some of that function, but we were still primarily sending people out into traffic to get the travel times. There were also a few other things, like this notion of 3 travel time runs and collecting those 3 travel time runs during the good weather incident-free days that sort of seems a little bit outdated now. Things have changed a lot since then, and really at an accelerated pace in the past 5 years. So whenever I can pull up real-time traffic on Welborn Road that's right outside where we are right now, or whenever I can pay $99.95 and get one of these little gadgets that plugs into my diagnostic port, and I can track anywhere my vehicle is going, regardless if I'm at the wheel, that really opens up a world of possibilities when it comes to travel time data. Just a quick aside, if you haven't seen these gadgets yet, so these are little gadgets that plug into the OBD2 port, the diagnostic port of your computer. It's for a number of things, like the insurance companies are starting to use those for insurance pricing. Or more importantly for me, if you've got kids that are entering the driving age, this essentially allows you to track where they're going, how fast they're going, and a number of other functions. It's really amazing what technology can do. So our research group at TTI has been interacting with a number of these companies, and we really think that is the future of travel time data. We can certainly, as government agencies, we can put out sensors on a few roadways, and we can probably do better than some of these companies on a few of those roadways. I don't think that we can compete on scale or on life cycle costs with these companies. I think Chris's point was very well taken about the Google Imagery service. If we can get certain data from private companies and it costs us less, then we ought to be pursuing that. I'm going to just breeze through a couple of, and mention real quickly, a couple of activities that are happening here in Texas, as well as nationally. Top 100, Chris mentioned this already. This is a systematic process that TxDOT and TTI have worked on over the past 4 or 5 years. Identifies the most congested roads in the state, and we do that primarily by licensing statewide travel time data. So the past 4 years we've had a competitive procurement, and we've gotten this statewide travel time data from a private company. There is some data integration that has to happen if you're buying travel time data from a private company. We overlay it on top of TxDOT's roadway inventory network, as Chris mentioned earlier, and that allows us to overlay those speeds with traffic volumes and other roadway inventory attributes. But the TxDOT Top 100 is more than just a cool map. There's a number of things that is happening because of Top 100, or that Top 100 is essentially enabling. One of the things that TxDOT really had the foresight to do is to license this data using an unlimited license on a statewide basis. And what that is that essentially allows TxDOT to distribute this travel time data on a statewide basis for all the MPOs and other transportation agencies within Texas to use. TPP is also providing technical assistance for using this data for performance measures and target setting. Chris mentioned earlier, the results are being included in the UTP project scoring tool, and there's a number of enhancements and improvements that this data is enabling. Wanted to quickly mention some different MPL activities. Prior to 2014, there were several MPOs that were experimenting with and had individually licensed this travel time data from private companies. And in fact, there was quite a bit of discussion at Tempo about sort of how to coordinate these this travel time data activity and licensing that was happening at the MPOs. Shortly thereafter, again, TxDOT decided that we're going to license this data on a statewide basis, buy an unlimited license. What that means then is that we can send these floppy disks around to all of the MPOs, and now we have this free and consistent travel time data that's statewide. That's a big deal. That is a really big deal. There's a number of MPOs that are already using that data. This travel time data is already being incorporated into several different TxDOT activities. We like to think here in Texas that FHWA and DC saw this and they said, you know what, we want to do this for the entire nation. That may not be 100% accurate, but the outcome is still the same. And so in the past 2 years, Federal Highway has licensed this National Travel Time Data Set. It's got an acronym, NPM RDS, Performance Management and Research Data Set. It's essentially a data set that Federal Highway has licensed from here, which was a part of Nokia. It's now owned by Audi, Mercedes, and BMW. But Federal Highway is doing the same thing. They're providing this data to all the state DOTs and MPOs. The only limitation, though, is it's only on the NHS, which doesn't quite cover some of the roadways that we need here to analyze in Texas. MAP 21 performance measures, we've kind of been waiting and waiting and waiting for these proposed regulations that are going to be coming out. They're forthcoming. I think the expected date is November or December. But we haven't just been waiting here in Texas. We've actually developed a process and developed some performance measures that we think work in Texas. And we're also prepared to meet whatever the federal requirements are. The key takeaways, you know, this travel time data is really becoming an inexpensive commodity. It's being collected by a lot of different companies. It's going to dramatically increase our traffic diagnostic capability. We obviously need staffing to support the data analytics, and we need to be receptive to having this better information. You know, some people view this as, well, this is different information. It's really better. You know, the traveling public sees the better information, the better traffic information on their phones, and I think they expect us as traffic planners and engineers to be using this better information. Thank you.